Okay, guys. As I told you, Stephen Bardo, I always say the best speaker for last. I got to know Stephen when he first started in broadcasting. Great basketball player, great chef. So let's give him a hand for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're the man, Stephen. Go on. You may start now.
All right. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we have 17 people here. So, I'm going to make this interactive. So, I know that you all probably thought you were coming to listen to someone talk, but I'm actually going to put you guys to the test a little bit. So, we've got 17 on here right now. So, I want to take each and every one of you. I want you to take 20 seconds. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to state your name. I want you to state the job that you're going for in sports broadcasting, and I want you to state what you're concerned about, or what's your pain points or some of your concerns, and then I'm going to give you a training based on what's the most popular answer. Does that sound okay?
That was good.
Thumbs up, everybody. Is that cool? All right. So, William Bazone, you're first. Carolyn Lingen, did I say that right? You're second.
You're
Okay.
close. Caroline Lingen.
Oh my goodness. Caroline Lincoln. I'm sorry. Abby Cilio, you're next after that. Matt Betts, you're next after that. All right. So you guys need any more instruction? William?
We're good.
You need any more instruction, William?
No, I'm good. Thank
All
you,
right, let's
Steven.
go.
I'm just also running the sound, so I'm gonna be like running around. But
That's all
I'll
right.
go whenever you're ready.
Yeah, you're first up. Let's go. You got 20 seconds.
All right. Well, hi, my name is William Bazone. My dream job in sports broadcasting would be a play-by-play broadcaster. That'd be pretty cool. And I just want to know, like, how do you get started? Because I feel like a lot of the people who have the jobs kind of had those for a while. So just curious on how, like, what's the best place to start with that?
Great job, William. Way to kick it off, my man. Okay, Caroline, you're up.
Hi, my name is Caroline Lingen. I guess my dream job would be a sideline reporter. I guess same question as William, basically, but how would you get started, or what's the best, not the best way, but the most effective way to break into this business and get going here?
Keep this and we can just
Hey,
talk about it.
Randy, mute your mic there for a second, would you?
Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying. All right.
Should be on the bottom left-hand side. You'll see the microphone.
Yeah. I'm doing something else while I was doing that.
Okay, no problem. All right. Abby, you ready? Abby Cilio, are you ready?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. The mic just got muted. Okay. Hi, I'm Abby Saleo. I have a lot of experience in broadcasting, but I'm really passionate about like social and digital media. So the closest thing would be like a digital reporter. A couple things are just being able to like come up with things on the fly and how to better prepare for that, and also just how to deal with creative burnout, because I know that's been a really big issue for me, and I know it's tough for a lot of young creatives to like deal with that.
You said creative burnout, you said?
Yeah.
That's a new one for me, but I that's why I'm asking you guys these questions. This is good. Okay. Well done. Matt Betts, you're up.
Hi, Steven. I'm Matt Betts. I'm actually not getting into sports broadcasting. I'm actually into advertising and marketing. But
okay.
My question would be kind of similar to everyone else's. How'd you get your start in the business you're in? And also, like we've seen like players going to analysts, or like analysts becoming coaches. Like, what kind of steps do you have to make that jump from each of those two positions?
From player to coach or player to analyst?
Just like any of them.
Okay.
But yeah, like player to coach.
Okay. Great question. Sal Carcagno.
Sal Carcagno.
Carcagno. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sal. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my name's Sal. I guess similar to Matt, I'm interested in more of the kind of advertising and marketing side of athletics. I've gotten for the last year and a half to work with the athletics marketing program here at Loyola, and so I would kind of be interested in if you have any experience, what can you kind of do to make the next step from like an entry level position to a more an upper level or higher level position?
That's a good question. Okay, good. Sarah, you're up. Sarah?
I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Sasha. I'm also not going into sports. I want to go to law school actually. But for you, my question would be networking and connections, because I think that's big in any type of field, especially sports management. So kind of how do we network? How do we gain connections and stuff like that?
Great question. Great question. Well done. Haley Samples, you're up.
Hi, I'm Haley. My dream job in sports would be like sideline reporting as well. And I guess my main concern is just, I guess, staying informed. Like I grew up playing sports, that's why I'm interested in working in the field. But I don't have the biggest like sports knowledge, so that's just my main concern.
Oh, keeping up with the knowledge of everything, or becoming more knowledgeable.
Right. Yeah. Right.
All right. Well done. Okay. Kennedy Mallory, you're up.
Hi, my name is Kennedy. I'm also not in sports journalism. I'm more part of the film production side. So just hypothetically speaking, in regards to like your dream job, my question is, how do you handle those unexpected moments and interactions during live games?
Oh, so you're asking, how do I handle interactions and changes and different things during live games? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. I'm just trying to get all these down. Lucas Kim, did I say that right, Lucas?
Yeah, you did. Hi, my name is Lucas Kim. Probably dream job in sports would probably be a TV broadcaster. Sounds pretty cool. And my question is just how do you get your foot in the door? How do you start off?
Yeah, I see that. That's a one that recurring. Good job. Ryan, you're up.
Hi, I'm Ryan Lucas. I'm looking to do like profile writing, feature writing, that kind of thing in journalism. And I guess I'm just curious about how to find a career that balances like advancing that career, but also keeping your personal values centered as well. So,
ooh, boy, we got some sharp people on the call today. I love it. Chloe Morrison, did I say that right?
It's Morrissey.
Morrissey, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm Chloe. I've kind of been going back and forth. If I were to be in sports, I definitely want to be like an analyst or sideline reporter, but my like main focus I think is more TV news and like the political side. But yeah, my question is how do you separate yourself from everybody else who also wants to get into the same field, like all the other people that are trying to be sideline reporters and anchors and whatnot?
Great question. Great question. Thank you. Uzo, you're up, partner.
Hi, my name is Uzo. And like my dream job in sports would be like sports production, live events and games.
So you want to be behind the camera, more like a director, producer type thing?
Yeah. And my question is, how do I get my foot in the door?
Okay. Well done, Uzo. Thank you. Samantha Martinez, you're up.
Okay. Hi, I'm Samantha. I would love to be a reporter for men's basketball or men's football. I love college football in particular, so that's what but I'm open to anything when it comes to journalism. A question that I have for you is, I am such a huge fan of certain teams. How do you stay unbiased when you're reporting the college team that you love? Maybe you have like a favorite player and they're not doing so good. Because I know you have to stay unbiased in this industry. And for me, that's always been hard, especially when I'm reporting on something that I dislike strongly or something that I love.
Samantha, I'm gonna answer that really quickly for you, okay? We'll get into more of it as we go, but I'm going to answer this really quickly for you. Everybody's biased. You're not going to be unbiased. It's impossible. Now, the difference is I can call my children playing a game and I can say what they're not doing well and what they are doing well, because I try to just stick to the game. I don't get personal. Okay. So you're going to be biased, but the best way to do that is to over and over again practice covering your own team that you really like and see if you can stay focused on what's happening as opposed to your feelings. Try not to get into your feelings. Try to keep your focus on what's happening. And you're just being the eyes for the audience. Does that make sense? But that's a great question because people ask me that all the time. And Mr. Minkoff would tell you, Illini fans get pissed when I call games because they think I'm supposed to be pulling for the Illini, but University of Illinois doesn't cut me my checks. Big Ten Network and Fox Sports cut my checks. So I need to be good to my business partners more so than the fan base. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Trent Jackson, you're up. Trent, you got a hard thing, man, because Trent Jackson was a tough player from Wisconsin now. So you got to bring it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, well, I'm interested in like sports writing as well as like sideline reporter. And yeah, my biggest question was probably like I think Sasha said it, but just what's the best way to go about networking and make connections with people in the field that could probably get you more opportunities than you just will be able to do on your own?
Great question. Good stuff. Good stuff. Brunel Toma, I think you're last.
Yep. So I'm Brunel Toma. I wanted to get into sports writing. And I wanted to ask you, what's the best way to get noticed? And how do you market yourself?
Oh man. That how to get noticed and how to market yourself. I love that. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you who I am so that you all will pay attention. And it's not something that Mr. Minkoff said, you guys got to do this. I want you all to really feel where I'm coming from so that you can understand how passionate I am about helping young people. So I'm a NBA, WNBA, and college basketball analyst. I did 32 games with the Milwaukee Bucks last year, 6 with the Chicago Bulls. I did half of the WNBA games with Chicago Sky, and I do about 50 to 60 college basketball games per year between Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, and Westwood One Radio Network. I've been very fortunate because I met a gentleman by the name of Dennis Swanson when I was in college. I did a radio interview my sophomore year with my head coach, Lou Henson, and Dick Vitale, and it was on ESPN radio. And I did really well. And I was my degree pursuit was broadcast journalism. Now I had to go to speech communication because I had a jerk for a professor that said that he never had an athlete complete his course and I wasn't going to be the first. So he kicked me out first day of class. So I had to go to speech communication. But as I'm on this interview, I do really well. And the phone lines are open because you had to call back then into the radio stations. So the phone line's still open. And Dick Vitale says, Steven, do you guys know who Dick Vitale is? Let me not make that assumption. All of you all know who Dick Vitale is? If you don't, he's kind of the godfather of modern day college basketball analysts. Everybody else was kind of like this. They would just go like this when they broadcast, but Dick Vitale goes like this, diaper dandy. He had a lot of flavor. He had a lot of excitement. And we loved him because he was something new. So he said, hey, Bardo, you did a good job on this. What do you want to do when you get older? I said, Dick, I want your job. He and Lou Henson laughed. I was dead serious. And so my father, who is my hero, told me to write a letter to ESPN thanking them for the opportunity to come on the radio station, that I'm a broadcast journalism, and that if there were any opportunities upon my graduation, I'd love to see if there are any entry-level opportunities. I send a letter out. I go back to doing what college students do, being at Cam's, the bar in Champaign, having fun, going to class, doing my thing. About a month or two later, I get a letter, and on the outside of the letter, it says from the president of ABC Sports. And at the time, I didn't know ESPN was owned by ABC. So I opened the letter, and it says, Steven, you did a great job on your radio interview. We got your letter. I will be in Champaign in September to call the USC Illinois football game. Can you meet me there? Of course, I'm going to meet him there. So again, I must have killed too many brain cells partying or something because I didn't realize for some reason I'm with the president of ABC Sports. We go in a television truck. He shows me the business. He talks about everything. And he says, Steven, I got you, man. When you graduate, let me know. I said, well, Dennis, I really want to go and play professional basketball, but I'd love to stay in touch with you. Okay. I hope you guys are listening because I'm answering some of your questions through this story. Okay. So I was over in Japan. I'd send them a letter, or I'm in Europe when I was playing, or when I was with the Pistons, or when my buddy Ryan Baker, who is now the morning news anchor at CBS 2 Chicago, was my college roommate. He got married in New York, and we had been hanging out, and I had cotton mouth and, hair messed up and everything. And Dennis Swanson called me on the phone. He said, hey, man, can you be at my office in 30 minutes? I was on my back asleep. I got to his office in 25 minutes, okay, because I was trying to develop that relationship. Fast forward, I finished my playing career. I played 10 years of professional basketball. Right at the end, Dennis Swanson fired a guy at CBS 2 Chicago as a sports reporter and put me in that position. Chicago is a destination market, ladies and gentlemen. That's not where you start your career. This is a destination market. This is where everybody's trying to work towards if you're in local news and sports. This guy put me in like nobody else has, right? And I was terrible. But it gave me the opportunity to work on my skill set to become the best basketball analyst in the business. I'll tell y'all flat out, nobody calls a game better than me. I'm the best college basketball or basketball analyst at any level in the business. And one of the reasons that I have become so good at that is because of that training that I got from when I sucked, when I was horrible, when I sought out Mr. Minkoff and Sue Castorino to help teach me how to be better at what I was doing. Okay. So that's who I am. Now, let me get to some of your questions. Okay. Is that cool? I'm gonna try to get through as many as I can. And then I'm going to let you guys ask questions for about 10 minutes at the end. And then I got something special for you. Okay. So how to get started. Here's the thing. You guys have tools that Mr. Minkoff and I did not have when we were first coming into the business. Social media has changed the game. I have a DSLR camera right here. I have this. I don't know why I don't know why it's showing backwards. But I can put ads up here. I have about 12,000 followers of my Bartles Breakdown show on Facebook. I can change the jerseys out when I'm talking about players. You see the pictures back here. I've got a little studio. I couldn't do this when I was your age trying to start out in the business. You all have so many tools that what I want you to start doing, do your own show, do your own podcast, write your own articles. You don't have to be motivated by a job. Because here's what's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a noisy world. And one of the questions was from Brunel. I think he said, how do you get noticed? You get noticed because you develop your own voice. And how do you develop your own voice? By practice. See, especially sportscasting is very similar to basketball. How you get better in basketball, how you shoot better jump shots. You shoot 500 jump shots a day, every day. So if you call yourself a sportscaster, you call yourself a sideline reporter, a play-by-play commentator, a color analyst, a show host, start doing what you want to do, because when you have a body of work that you can you can send somebody a link and they can see your work. That's going to make you stand out from the crowd. Not everybody's going to do that. Not all of you all will do what I'm telling you to do. That's human nature. But the ones that do, the ones that start your own show and be entrepreneurial in your thinking, that's how you're going to stand out, because you've got to find your own voice. And the only way to find your own voice is to get in front of the camera and go at it. Get your phone, because there's anchor.fm that you can go right on Do you guys know about this? You guys ever heard of Anchor.fm? Some of you have. That's how you start a podcast, and you do it right off your phone. It takes 3 minutes to set up. You start talking into it. They give you different tools to lay music underneath, and you're good. So that's how you guys, that's what I would suggest you do to get started. Start doing whatever it is that you're trying to do. Start doing it now on your own, because now everybody sends a resume. Everybody's got references. Can you spit on the mic? That's it. That's what this business is. Are you comfortable in front of the camera? Can you spit on the mic? And can you develop your own voice? Mr. Minkoff, did you have a question?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were putting your hand up. Okay. Is that cool, guys? We're cool. We move to the next one. Okay. How do you come up with things on the fly? Great question. You have to be observant. So I'm gonna give you guys an example of what's called point guard vision. Okay. Point guard vision. I made this up, by the way. This is copywritten and trademark. Point guard vision. A point guard on the floor has to see everything. And I'm going to put you all in they call it the State Farm Center. I can't call it that. It's the Assembly Hall. It's the House of Pain where University of Illinois basketball plays. It's one of the best venues in college basketball. There's 17,000 people when it's packed. It's as loud as it gets anywhere in the country. So as a point guard, I'm bringing the ball up against B.J. Armstrong, who was a 14-year NBA veteran. He's playing for Iowa. B.J. Armstrong is in my grill, and I got to go 94 feet to get past him, to look at where my teammates are, to see the mismatch, to call the right play, get the ball where it needs to be. If somebody's down or they didn't get the ball, I got to go encourage them because the point guard's on the floor. So if you want to come up with things on the fly, was it Samantha? Was that yours? Who asked me to?
That was mine.
Oh, Abby. That was a great question. How do you come up with things on the fly? One, you need to research. Anytime you're coming into a game, you got to know what's happening. You have to know the players. You have to know the coaches. You have to know the tendencies of the teams. You have to know the tendencies of the opposing teams. And you just look. You start looking. And you guys got to get real good at nonverbal communication. That's where the sports part comes in. So I can see an opponent when they're tired. Oh, I get up in their grill because I can see they're tired. And I jump on that. Or if they're hurt, and this might sound bad, but this is how it was when I was playing. If you got a bum elbow and you come in the game, you're going to get hit on your elbow. That's just what it is. So when you're trying to come up with things on the fly, it's very important to study nonverbal communication, because whether you all know it or not, I believe it's 60 to 70% of all communication is nonverbal. It's the energy that you put out. It's the demeanor that you show, and it is the way that you carry yourself. That says more about what comes out of your mouth than anything that you'll ever say. But we're not taught that. We don't really understand that. So that's very important. So that's what I would tell you, Abby, is to pay very close attention to what people are doing. Like if there's a bad play, what happens when a young lady makes a bad play and the coach yanks her and she comes to the bench? Is she sour? Is she bringing the team down? Is she upset and then gets over it quickly and she gets up and supports her teammates again? All those are very key because you can pick up very good nuggets. And Abby, that's what a sideline reporter does. That's what someone in that position does. It gives you insight. You're watching the game, but you can't see from the cameras what's happening on the bench. Or you can't see a coach just reaming a player out. You can't see that. But you can share that with the viewer, and they think, oh, my gosh, Abby is the bomb. Abby just dropped some science on me that I would have never known. That's how you come up with things on the fly. Was that good, Abby?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Creative burnout. Now, you guys are going to have to wait a minute. Creative burnout. That was Ryan? Who talked about creative burnout?
That was me too.
Oh, that was you too, Abby? Okay. So creative burnout. You're gonna have to excuse me because I'm old school. If you love what you're doing, you don't get burned out. If you get burned out, that might be a sign that you may want to reassess. Because I can talk basketball all day. I make good money to talk the game, but I never get tired of it. I don't get burned out of it. Because last year I did 85 games in 4.5 months. You all do the math. 85 games in 4.5 months. And I'm going through upper Midwest weather. We catch colds, COVID's flying around. And not one time do I ever get in the chair when there's a game. I don't care if it's Slippery Rock University against Transylvania. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to share my God-given talent and developed talent to the viewers at home. So if you're getting burned out, maybe take a step back, reassess what you're doing, because if you're good at it and you like what you're doing, I'm not familiar with creative burnout. I'm sorry. Again, I'm old school, but that would be my answer to that. Take a step back, really, really assess is this what you really want to do? Okay. All right. How do you go from being a player to a coach or a player to an analyst? What I did is I got internships when I was still playing professional basketball. So I was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in 1990. I did not make the team, but I stayed in Atlanta for 4 years. And during that time, I really was so focused on trying to play professional basketball, I wasn't really looking at my future in broadcasting. But I moved to Chicago in 1994, and I came back to the area where people knew my name. So what I did was I got the old yellow pages out, and I got the listings of 40 media companies and TV stations, radio stations in Chicago. I reached out to 40 of them, and 39 told me no, beat it, scram. There was one person, Jim Barry, who was a sports reporter at CBS 2 Chicago. He also ran a radio show on WVON, a small radio station on the south side of Chicago. And it was the best thing because he let me come in and see how the newsroom worked. He had me host his radio show one time, and I was terrible, but it was great experience. And so how I moved from a player to a coach is that I asked, or a player to a color analyst, is that I knew I needed reps. I knew I had to find my voice. I didn't have this at the time that would go right to social media that I could build an audience. I didn't have a DSLR camera and this setup. This wasn't around then. So I had to go old school, and I had to reach out and call people. Now, here's a little tip, ladies and gentlemen. Phone calls still work. They work well. Trust me. Phone calls still work. All right. So if you want to stick out from people, if you got the name of a contact person that is a decision maker, call them. If you don't catch them in person, be very short and just say, hey, I want to touch base. Who wanted? My name is Haley Samples. I've played before. I have this experience trying to be an analyst or a sideline reporter. I'd love to sit down and have 5 minutes of your time. And see what happens. Okay. Because people generally don't call anymore. It's all digital email, send links, and you still want to do that. But if you can get the number of somebody, that stands out. Or better yet, this is even better. Get a stack of postcards. They don't even have to be postcards. They can be small white cards this big. I thought I don't have any in here, but they're this big. Get a stack of them. Do a handwritten note. Here's why that makes a difference. Gene Cross is now the head of scouting for the New York Knicks. Gene Cross was a walk-on basketball player at the University of Illinois. He wasn't scholarship. He didn't play much, but he knew he wanted to go into coaching and scouting. So what does Gene do when he was playing? He keeps stacks of cards, and he writes handwritten notes. This guy has coached in he was an assistant at Illinois, UIC, DePaul, Virginia. Then he went to the NBA. He was a G League coach. He was a G League GM. Now he's with the New York Knicks organization. He was with the Sacramento Kings as a scout. My point is the cards, the calling, they really make you stand out. And so if you're trying to go from an athlete to a color analyst, all those different things are really good tools and internships to where you can cut your teeth and get experience. That's the biggest thing. Okay. Networking and connections. This is big. You heard me talk about the network that the relationship that I created with Dennis Swanson. Here's what I want you guys to consider. If there are 10 decision makers in the room, pick out 2 or 3 at the most, but don't try to talk to all 10. Pick 2 or 3 out, develop a relationship. Let your first words be, hi, I'm Lucas Kim, and I'm interested in such and such, but I'd really like to know how you got into the business, because everybody likes to talk about themselves and their accomplishments and what they had to overcome. You'd be surprised. People who are decision makers, they don't get asked that a lot. So I'm giving you guys really good tidbits on how to make yourself stand out, because you just need one thing for that person to say, wait a minute, you know what? Lucas asked me about myself and I ran my mouth for 5 minutes before I even knew what I was talking about. See where I'm going with that, ladies and gentlemen? You want to do these small things so that you stick out. So networking and connections, I don't like the term networking anymore. I like relationships, because people hire who they like and love and know. So if Dan Steer, who used to run NBC Sports, meets Lucas, and Lucas gets Dan Steer to talk about him being the best coordinating producer in college basketball history when he was at ESPN and was my boss, and Lucas takes this tidbit that he got from Stephen Bardo and he shares it with Dan Steer, and Dan Steer will smile and probably tell you that he and his wife Cheryl came to my 40th birthday party on the Riverwalk in San Antonio during the Final Four, because my birthday is April 5th, every year around the Final Four. Dan Steer was going to be out there. I invited him to come, and this is the ESPN boss and his wife were the first to show up and the last to leave. Now, I wasn't the best college basketball analyst in the group. Jay Billis, Jimmy Dykes, Dick Vitale, all these people were on the air, but none of them invited Dan Steer to their birthday party. And he showed up, and him and his wife left stumbling. They had a good time, okay? So I'm giving you guys some tips that you may not hear to set yourself apart. Becoming more knowledgeable. It's interesting. I got interviewed by a graduate student down in Indianapolis. I think he's at IUPUI. I think that's the school. And he was asking me, how do you prepare for your job? This is the way I look at it, ladies and gentlemen. I've got to read every day, about 2 hours a day. I've got to watch a couple, 2 or 3 basketball games every day, because that's how you become more knowledgeable. It's not that you can wait. It's not like a test. You're building your knowledge base up. And if you know that this is the career that you're going to be in, all of that knowledge that you're getting right now, you can reach back to years from now. So you want to be consistent in your knowledge acquirement, in your pursuit for knowledge. Figure out your own system, how it works best with your particular schedule. You may not have the time freedom that I have, because you've got classes, you've got different things. Some of you are working and going to class at the same time. I am, my kids are older. They're older than all of you. So they're out of the house. They're not out of my pocket yet, but I'm getting there. But they're out of the house. So I've got a lot of control over my time. So I can set it up to where I can do these things almost every day. Okay. So I would encourage you, develop your own system. Turn off the phone, turn off any distractions when you're doing your research so that it will sink in. Okay. Develop your system, whether it's 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day. If you have it, start to do that. How are we doing on time, Mr. Minkoff?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. How do I handle live game situations? I think we talked about that. How do you separate yourself from everybody else going for the same position. And this goes across the board. I don't care if you're in advertising marketing. I don't care if you're behind the camera, in front of the camera. This goes for everybody. If you've got your own body of work that you can point to, that's what separates you. Because when you first start doing a podcast or a show, you guys are going to suck. That's what it is. Now, if some of you have experience, then you're ahead of the game. But you've got to get the experience so that you can separate yourself, because I can't be Matt Betts. I can't be William Mazzone. I can't be Caroline Lingen. I can't be Caroline Lingen. I can only be the best Stephen Bardo I can be. And what does that mean? I'm silly. I'm self-effacing. I like to make fun of myself because that's disarming to the viewer. So now they're like, oh man, he's like me. People don't think about this, guys. When I was telling you all the games that I called and who I worked for, that didn't mean nothing to you. Now, if I were to tell you that I got cut, waived, or released 16 times from the NBA during a 10-year professional career, now that catches your attention, doesn't it? Because we relate to people's failures. We don't relate to necessarily to people's successes. Why? Because everybody can't do what I'm doing. Everybody can't do what Professor Minkoff is doing. Everybody can't do what someone else is doing. But you can darn sure do what you're called to do, what your skill sets are, what your personality is, how you interact with coaches, players, fans, alumni, athletic directors, sports information directors, newspaper beat writers. How do you interact with people? What's your strong suit? Right? Like, I can fly off the top of my dome and I can teach for 3 hours because it's all in here. And I don't mind messing up because I'm human. And that's what you all relate to. Right? Okay. I think I said how you stay unbiased. So I think I talked directly to Samantha about that. Here's what I want you guys to consider. When you're trying to get around people that make decisions, there's something that's called NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. There's an Asian, there's a Hispanic / Latino, and I don't know the other organizations. Maybe Professor Minkoff can help with that. These places have annual conferences and they have student discounts. If you can get yourself to one of these conferences, you will be in the room with a lot of decision makers. And not only that, it's not only that the decision makers you want to be around, you want to be around people who are 2 to 3 steps ahead of you. Did you guys catch that? You don't necessarily need to be around, the big, the great. You want to be around people who are just 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. So if you're a producer, Uzo, and you're at this conference and you're around people who are producing ESPN3 broadcast or regional broadcast, these people are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, right? They can tell you, oh man, this is what I did to get in the door. This is the position of people that I call. So for color analysts, you want to talk to coordinating producers. That's the title. You want to speak with coordinating producers. They are the decision makers for college, for play-by-play and color analysts in sports networks. Coordinating producers. Now, for Uzo, who wants to be behind the camera, there might be someone slightly different, but a coordinating producer, if they're not making the decision, they can definitely direct you on where you need to go. So find out these organizations, these National Association of Black Journalists, National Association of Asian Journalists, of Latino, Hispanic journalists. There's a lot. There's a few more that are escaping me right now. Find those organizations, look for their annual events. And I'm telling you, the money that you'll invest, not spend, because any money that you invest to better yourself for your career pursuit is an investment. Don't look at it like, oh man, I can't afford that. Ask some family member and tell them why it's important, because this is for your career. This is an investment in your career. Okay. I think I got through all the questions. But I'm sure you guys have some. So how much time we got, Professor Minkoff?
15 minutes, about 15 minutes.
Okay, good. So you guys go ahead and fire off your questions. Uh-oh. So I'm gonna have to start asking you guys direct questions, huh?
No, we got one here.
Okay. Go ahead.
Ryan, go ahead.
Yep. So my question earlier was kind of about balancing values and things like that. So I guess specifically for you, in this kind of position as the content producers, the broadcasters, and things like that, how can we like move forward and, for example, like grow the women's game of basketball so that it can go along? Because we've seen a lot of progress there, but we've also seen a lot of disparities as well. So what can we do as the people on camera or writing the stories to help grow that game?
Ryan, that is an excellent, excellent question, because I am a aficionado and lover of women's sports, in particular women's basketball, because I have an older sister that's 5 years older, and she used to wear me out growing up. It's one of the reasons I'm able to be a professional basketball player. My older brother and my older sister wore me out. So I got a very good appreciation for women in sports early in my life. Now, here's the thing, Ryan. I think your heart is where it needs to be, but economics is keeping women's sports from maybe growing to the level equal to men's sports. And and this is my opinion, I think it's a combination of, it's a little bit of sexism, but it's capitalism. So the NBA loses $10 million a year to support the WNBA. I'm going to say that again. The NBA loses $10 million a year to support the WNBA. Now, the WNBA has made great strides. They're getting corporate sponsorships and whatnot. But unless we have a fan education PSA campaign, unless we really are aggressive with the men and women that love women's basketball, unless we're really aggressive about educating people about how good the product is, it's tough. Because any man, and I'm kicking it real, I'm not holding anything back for you guys. Any man that I talk to and I tell them that I'm calling WNBA games, when they put their nose up, I said, I bet the money in my wallet that you could not score on those women. And so the guys get all, even guys that used like played high school basketball or something, they're like, oh, I no, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. These women would run circles around you. And so what I do, I bait guys. I say, okay, let's do this. Then I'm going to give you tickets. And then after the game, if you still think you can beat them or you don't appreciate what they're putting out on the floor, then, I'll lose the bet and I'll give you what you want. But if I win the bet, you give me a 6-pack of Red Stripe, because that's my favorite beer. And I was drinking pretty good this summer, because the guys that had not seen the women play, they heard these tropes and they heard these narratives that are incorrect. But when you go and watch women's sports, in particular women, the WNBA, is poetry in motion. So Ryan, I think you should keep what you have close to your heart, do the best that you can. But we're in a capitalistic society, and as long as people don't value women's sports and women's basketball as much as they do men's, we're gonna have this struggle for quite some time. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Great question. And thank you for being honest enough to share that.
Stephen, what's the surprise? Now I'm wondering what the surprise is at the end.
Oh, I was gonna send them a link, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put it in here because I don't see. Oh, there is a chat function, and I don't have. I was gonna send them something. Here's what I'll do, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have you guys email me. Send me an email to steven.bardo@gmail.com. That's STEPHEN bardo@gmail.com. It's like a free training that I'll give you guys if you're interested. So send me an email.
Stephen, you can email it to me and I can send it to the whole class.
I'll do that. I'll certainly do that. Okay. I'll put that in there.
Okay.
Okay.
One last question wrapping up, and I know we've talked about it and when you've talked to the class before, briefly, a lot of people don't know how to do a resume. And I like the fact that you said about picking up the phone and having the contact, but a lot of them still have to send a resume and they wind up sending these 5-6 page resumes. Isn't it better just to have a real brief synopsis of what you've done rather than come up with this encyclopedia?
Yes. Because think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If for example, I work at Big Ten Network, great network to work at, great bosses, producers, direct everything, right? They get bombarded with resumes. And like Professor Minkoff said, if you don't have a quick snapshot, if they can't get a quick snapshot of what you've done and who you are on a one pager, if it's 2, 3, 4 page, they're not gonna look at it. I'm just telling you, and you're gonna waste your time. So you don't want to waste your time. You want to put your very best stuff on one page. Get it on one page. Especially when you're going towards a sports broadcasting position, you don't need a long written out personal statement. No, you don't need all that. Put a link to your work, like we talked about. You guys are gonna start your stuff today, right? You're going to start your podcast, your show. You're going to start writing articles today, right? Put a link to your work. Put your name, put pertinent information, put a couple references, put the most pertinent work experience or experience pertaining to this opportunity that you're reaching for, and leave it at that.
Don't put that you were a crossing guard in 6th grade.
Right. Right.
A lot of people do that. When are we going to hear or see you next? What's your next assignment?
Oh, I've got a good one. Saturday, Wisconsin at Marquette. Now, this is a very underrated rivalry. It's one of the best in college basketball, and I've been fortunate enough to do it the last 5 or 6 years, and I love it. Wisconsin's got more than cheese, ladies and gentlemen. That's a passionate basketball state. So I'm looking forward to that. It's 3:00 Central Standard Time on Fox Sports.
Hey, Stephen, stay in touch, huh? I really appreciate it. And I'll give Sue your best, but thank you so much for taking time out and good luck the rest of the way. Safe travels. Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on, and good luck to all you all. Hope you all took something from this, and good luck to you. Take care.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right.
Okay.